Alright, in this video I want to describe this epic dream I had 2 days ago. And I wanted to record it yesterday, but I was just way too busy to be able to record it. And I got to record it right now, because I'm going to be busy again. I just woke up, so forgive me if I need to make some animal noises. So, oh, and also this video is another Holy Blanket video. And I'm going to do this sort of thing and, get the warmth in the core. Alright? You know what, man? It's just nice and warm, okay? If anybody is trying to do some weird cult shit, please, no thank you. Do whatever you want, but this is just for warmth, okay? Alright. Oh. So, it's this time of year where family is coursing through my veins and, some sort of event, a vibe of an event is coming into my future. I think that's inspiring my dreams a little bit. And just a little prelude here. I've had trippy dreams before, probably maybe between like 2 and 5. I can't really remember exactly, but I remember one, especially 2, I guess, vividly, where I took a tab of LSD in a dream. But it was more just like a physical, like, morphing feeling, like just like the relaxed feeling that comes with many different psychedelics. Just like a bubbly, churning, morphy feeling. But this one, alright, this is fucked up. I'm gonna do something different here. Should we just do the Holy Blanket? It just looks so trash park, like trailer trash park, But then this just looks like way too religious. Alright, so the vibe is a family gathering, alright? I was meeting my family, my immediate family, and I guess they were kind of taking me someplace special. They kind of knew what I was about. Most of my family knows what I'm about nowadays. And if you can imagine the scenario here, a very tall skyscraper, but going into the ground, downwardly, and only a part of it is up at the surface. It also isn't really connected to the ground. It's kind of floating in a way. And there's this feeling of when you're in this building, you have somewhat of a limitlessness to it, of the feeling when you're inside of it. I think this relates similarly to psychedelic experiences, such that you become more sensitive, you become more, more of something. And that can, in essence, feel a little bit more unlimited in comparison to sober life, right? So, I think the story about it really doesn't matter too much. And I don't really remember too much about how I got there. Just kind of ended up there, but the main idea of this building was that you would go eat a dinner there. And, have you ever been to a dinner movie theater kind of thing where you eat a dinner at this fancy table and there's like a play going on or a movie going on and you just eat and like watch a movie and you're served and everything like that? It was kind of like that, but we entered the skyscraper building. We took an elevator down for some reason, like met the people or something, and then we like took an elevator back up to get into kind of like the middle of the building. And this is underground, except it feels like when I was on this floor of the building, it almost felt like it was floating, and we could look over the edge. We weren't really connected to any walls. It was geometrically pleasing as well. There was the room itself, the skyscraper itself, was built in a hexagonal frame, and there comes the animal noises. And the tiles that made up the floor were also interlinking hexagons, except there wasn't really much of a wall around us, aside from like the outer wall of the skyscraper sort of thing, but we could look over an edge and look into the abyss, alright? And that's kind of similar to a psychedelic experience as well. There's a great potential of looking into the abyss. You can take that option if you really wanted to, right? Your mind can go there. Now, when we were eating dinner, for some god-awful reason, we would eat dinner during this experience. I don't remember much about the food or anything like that. But But anyways, it was my family and, you know, a few other families. This kind of was like a luxurious experience. It was a special one. It was, not everybody got to experience it, and it was an experience, all right? So I went through this process 2 times, but the first time we were sitting at the dinner table. For some reason we were eating, and the point of the building was to create like some sort of illusion that it was moving and morphing. So now, again, you could look down into the abyss if you wanted. Sometimes the floor would almost be like see-through. The connections between the hexagonal tiles would kind of dissolve a little bit, you know, with some sort of technology, and you could look through the cracks of the floor and just, you know, understand that you're in this almost existential space of experience. And I like this because it's kind of like a grand metaphor, you know. My mind created a physical space that helped kind of characterize the psychedelic experience. And again, for some god-awful reason, why are we eating during this? I don't know. But oftentimes people would sit back in their chairs and look up, because that's kind of like where the main event was. That's where like the universe is, you know. So what happened during this was that when I looked up, this hexagonal chute, this hexagonal almost cylinder that we're in, you know, kind of like a skyscraper, it was beautiful dark colors, all right. And it wasn't really about the color, it was more about the structure of things. So it was dark, almost looking up into a vast space. I could see the framework of the hexagonal frame. And what it was doing was essentially taking this straight, solid, metallic structure and just going woo, 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 woo. So like the whole building was moving in like warping, almost as if like, if you can imagine a wormhole or something in some sort of TV show where you like get sucked into it. It was like the building was getting sucked out and moving and getting like sucked into different directions, right? And in a dream and in a psychedelic experience as well, you know, you kind of become your surroundings in a way. You're very sensitive, such that your senses and your experience of the senses kind of become one. And so it was extremely disorienting. Again, why were we eating? I don't know. But if it was real life, I probably would have puked everywhere, because there's an abyss below me. Beautifully dark, right? And I just mean in general, it's like we were in space to some degree without the stars. And up was beautifully dark. But I could see that it was leading towards a ceiling, and the ceiling was a hexagon. And, you know, I could reference the outer walls and the building. Again, just almost like in an earthquake, but in a simulation, in an illusion, some sort of magical technology. This whole building was morphing. And it was very beautiful, all right? It was extremely beautiful. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't really any physical sensation other than, oh my gosh, this is really uncomfortable. Why did you guys take me here? And so in part of the reason I'm even telling the story was because it was one of the most vivid dreams of my life, really. It was 2 days ago, and it has since fallen away from me a little bit. But it's also aged well, because I realized that this wasn't just like a cool dream. My mind actually was, in a way, creating physical metaphors to try to exemplify the experience of, you know, morphing senses, of experiencing a spectrum of senses. I think spectrum is a huge and important word if you're a trippy person. You know, because when you're in the psychedelic experience, I mean, I say in because, you know, your experience is merged with the senses themselves, such that it's almost completely unavoidable. And you're in it, almost unavoidably in it. And so I was in this experience, you know, I was in the building. But anyways, I'm just saying, the dream aged well over the day to help me kind of see that it wasn't just a dream. Like, I was really symbolizing the psychedelic experience with this dream. And I just love that dreams can take you to these strange places. And the power of imagination. I mean, literally, somehow, my physical body created an experience, and not just a dream, you guys. You go into a dream, sometimes they're so intense you wake up sweating. Sometimes they're so intense you wake up with a racing heartbeat. You wake up, oh my gosh, sometimes they're so intense you gotta turn on the light because you're afraid some fucking alien's gonna come through the door, you know what I mean? They're that believable. In essence, you're experiencing it to such a clear degree that it affects your physical body, obviously, but also affects your mind. And so, it's a very cool concept to experience. I mean, I imagine the future, because this could be a future building here. A skyscraper going into the ground. Kind of, just a tube going down, but it felt like it was its own separate building, and it was special. It was this grand creation of humanity. And essentially it was showing me the morphing of senses in a way, and to me it was extremely disorienting, because for some reason my mind was associating that place to be a special place. Again, when I go to Christmas time, usually I eat dinner with my family, right? So I think there was that kind of connection with my current history. It's December. So, in a different scenario, maybe I wouldn't be eating. So my mind was very confused. Like, I'm trying to digest food here, and now you're putting me on a roller coaster ride. No thanks, man. In all of my dreams that I've had a psychedelic experience in them, I don't ever remember like vividly seeing, in a way, synesthetic experiences. I never saw like fractalization of any sort that was related to my senses. But this was the closest thing where it took a structure and started showing me how it could morph a little bit, I'm curious, have you guys ever taken a drug in a dream, and what have you experienced from that? What's the limits that you've been pushed to inside your dream? And really, it's just imagination, right? But that is such a beautiful thing because it has an effect on us. I just want to expand on that. So there's a Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson podcast that came out. I think it's like, it ends with an 8 maybe, I don't know, it's like 1208 or 1238 or something like that. I can't remember. It's in the 1200s if I remember right. Recent to December 2018. And at about 23 minutes or something, 24 minutes, he was describing a process that you could, and this has been studied biologically with biological results, where the more he describes this beautifully, and I'm not going to be able to capture this, so I highly recommend that you go to this episode. I guess if I remember it, I'll put the link in the description. It's at like 23 minutes, 23:30. He just says that I had this discovery recently, I've put it together, and this is what it is, blah, blah, blah. He describes it. And in essence, he's saying that you don't even have to physically exercise to change your body. You can actually change your nervous system simply by how much you can imagine to be possible for your life, essentially, is what it came down to. And I've been feeling that with myself. That's like a huge part that I've been growing lately. I think it's greatly valuable. And essentially it comes down to, it comes down, you can expand your life to the point at which you can manage it, to the point at which you believe you can manage it. And it doesn't really matter about the word belief. It's just an essence of trust, for your own integrity. Trust that you have the capability, I guess it's really a belief in yourself, to handle an increasingly more vast amount of possibility in your life. And what that leads to is a greater experience and a more, obviously, potential life. And the creations are more vast, more stretched, more large, if you want to think of it that way. More complicated, connected, immaculate, beautiful, whatever, right? So imagination is extremely valuable, and unlocking that and opening up possibility in your life quite literally, biologically creates a stronger nervous system, a greater nervous system. And I don't know if this is exactly proven. I think it has been, where we literally, in a way, I mean, for some, foundationally, we say that DNA is the thing that is like the root origin of the expression of our body. And so for our nervous system to grow, there seems to be a DNA relationship that occurs. In essence, the DNA gets activated in some way because we have a different sense of meaning in our life. There's more. We could handle more, you know? And so the DNA gets activated, so to speak. And I look back at my history, and I've done those meditations, you know, DNA activation meditation. Or, you know, I've always just thought the idea of junk DNA is just like really weird. Like, it's not, don't call it junk when you don't understand it. You know, maybe we can do something with it, because why is it in our DNA if it's junk? And I know some of that's kind of just like the physical edges to our DNA, and, you know, they get damaged, so they kind of wither away. You could somewhat call that junk, but, you know, I made a video back in Oregon one time of dreams and psychedelics, and how they're similar, and how they're similar to life in general, and imagination, and the impact of imagination, the impact of dreams, and how they are actually effective to our experience in life. They affect us, you know. And they shouldn't just be discounted as nothing, or, oh, just a dream. I had this wacky dream. You know, in essence, a dream is a place where we can try things that can't be tried in real life, you know, in physical, real life with physical consequences, you know, strongly physical consequences. Because, I mean, in essence, there is a consequence to dreaming something. Because if our imagination gets expanded, then therefore our nervous system gets expanded to be able to handle the new possibilities that we can create in our life. So, very beautiful dream. I ended up going back to, like, that dream just kind of like ended. I got really disoriented. I didn't want to be there anymore. It really was, when I left and came back to it, it totally symbolized and felt like I was going into a psychedelic experience. And so I went back a second time and kind of got a grounding feeling to it the second time. It wasn't really morphing as much the second time. I kind of just wanted to experience the physical space and realize that this was all just my imagination. And so I went into that hexagonal space. It was probably like the size of a... it wasn't that large of a skyscraper. It was maybe... I don't know, 150 meters by 150 meters, but in a hexagonal shape, you know? Yeah. I say meters just to kind of get the whole world. Maybe, I don't know, 100... No, it was larger than 30 feet across. Oh, 100 yards, I guess. 100 yards is a little big. 75 yards by 75. I don't know exactly what that translates to meters. But yeah, dreams are so cool. And I haven't been smoking weed lately, and I love the sober life even more than the weed life, because the weed just, and I'm not hating on this, there's use for everything, absolutely. But weed is very distracting, you know. When you're sober, you can switch your attention in any way at any time. But when you're high in some way, or drunk, or even smoking tobacco or coffee, your energy kind of tends to move in a certain direction or in a certain way. You know, coffee's speedy. Weed is weedy. You know, sometimes on weed you gotta lay back and you just can't help it but just sit back and take it all in. And that comes at a cost, you know, the opportunity cost, that when you do something you can't do another thing, right? And However, when you're sober, you're not really doing anything but living completely. So you can change, you can do whatever you want at any time, experientially, investigatively. There's a internal reflection that is clear and capable at any time, you know. And weed stays in my system for so long. Like, it takes 3 days for me to kind of start getting into sober feelings, and then 2 weeks about for me to kind of get it all cleared out in a way where it feels like it's cleared out, but really it probably takes a month. But I do have a pretty skinny body and a fast metabolism, so maybe it does only take a couple weeks for me. I don't know. Yeah, and I actually want to talk about weed in another video. So, what I would call the dangers to society, even though, look, society isn't ultimate, alright? Society is not something that should stay the same all the time. So it's good and bad in different perspectives. But in terms of the maintenance of society, weed can be a little dangerous, and I would explain that in another video. It actually comes from experiences recently, and just throughout the past year and a half, even compared to DMT, I've had some scarier experiences. Maybe not scarier. Yeah, not scarier, but very scary experiences on weed. Very depersonalized experiences on weed. All right? And that comes at somewhat of a cost, So I want to talk about that in another video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm curious if you've had any dreams, psychedelic dreams, what you've experienced in them, the impact you've had from them. And also, do you guys recognize that imagination is powerful? And I guess something I wanted to say about 5-10 minutes ago when I first said that was that if you don't have the time to explore your inner self, your nervous system's not going to be developed to be able to hold a vast future creation, the process to the future creation. And that just really sucks for a lot of people, including my own future, because I'm imagining my future here. And this is, you guys, Patreon does huge things for me. I mean, I cook my own meals for my girlfriend and I, which is way cheaper, way healthier than going out to eat and everything like that. And literally $2 donation every month is like a meal to me in a way, okay? Whole foods, I cook it from scratch, I spice it up myself. And so it's huge. And this time is incredibly valuable because when I have to go to work, I can't expand my nervous system to a creative degree. Now, there's learning in everything. There's value in everything. There's good in everything. But in terms of the essence, the greatness that is possible in my life, that I see in my life, it comes with using my time to explore the experience of life. And you guys know me. I share everything that I find valuable to expanding ourselves, to empowering ourselves. And, because I feel like if you empower yourself, you can empower others. And that's just like a wildfire for the world. So, Patreon does huge things. I mean, literally just a $2 donation, it turns into $1.70 because of Patreon fees or something like that. But it still is very helpful. And it's just $2 a month I take time. And I experience it. You psychedelic trippy people know what I mean. I experience this fluid state of senses. And I develop my senses, towards sensefulness. That just makes sense, right? But anyways, the grandioseness is very vast in me. And, we're about to move, and really just some extra food money would help a lot. And if, again, something I'm offering is once a month. Now, this is ridiculous. This is absurd for me to offer this sort of thing. But once a month for $10 a month, we can chat for an hour to 90 minutes. That's essentially a podcast, me and you, one-on-one. So if you want to be a part of that, $10 donation. Either you can do it PayPal with no fees, although Patreon really does help the feeling of the future kind of like be like, okay, I can actually live this way a little bit for the future a little bit. So Patreon does help. You know what? I'll offer just like $5. Really, this is ridiculous, but if you want to just donate or pledge $5, I'll speak with you for 30 minutes. All right, 30 minutes to an hour. $10 like an hour to 90 minutes sort of thing. And anything more is just incredibly gratefully received, because really, most of my money right now is going towards food and gas to get us to places around here. Essentially, it's just food, but I stick around and I explore the human experience. I listen to life. I listen to music. I play music. I study the experience. And that sense and that exploration is really growing something great here, right? And I've only been doing this for a few years. You know, I listened to everybody for 20 years straight, okay? I went to college, I went to school, I did the good things, I got the A's, I got the great scholarships and whatever, and turns out that wasn't fulfilling to me, so I had to leave and do my thing. So I've only been doing this for 2 years and like 7 months now, alright? It's pretty freaking insane. And I studied Indian classical music for the first year, something on a completely different tuning. I did not work with multiple strings. I've only been working with multiple strings for like a year and a half. And I can shred that shit right now, alright? And that's not really the ultimate future. The ultimate future is connecting the artistic experience, the creative experience, because that's life, man. Creativity, creation, future. Future depends on creativity. Especially in this time when we've really whacked up the planet. We need some creative solutions. And we need to bridge our experience to each other. And I think that comes from the expressional arts. I think we can all relate to an art piece to some degree. We can look at it and say that we're affected by it. And if we can respect that bridge that we all experience life, bro. You know, artistically, I think we need to move towards an artistic direction to bridge nations, you know, as parts of nature, as parts of an experiencing unit on this planet, you know, unity, instead of just nations, you know, we are this thing, we have these values, blah, 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 which need to be respectfully conserved for historical purposes, I think, but do not need to be enforced. I don't think so to this degree. But anyways, yeah, pledges really do go a long way. And I mean, we're almost to $100 a month, which would just be huge. I mean, to me, I use money sparingly, you know. I don't even know if that's the right word, but yeah, if you made it here and you enjoy the words and all that sort of thing, Patreon does help a huge amount, all right? I think that's it. I'm going to make the other video now about weed being a danger to society in a way. And trust me, I'm not hating on it. There's value in everything. You deserve to explore your life in your way, and that's great. And I love that you have that opportunity to. But to society and its cog, its machine, there's some things that are a little bit of a danger to that. And I think that's probably why it's been illegal for a while. But I think that's going to be it now. Thanks so much for watching. That dream was freaking awesome. It was vivid. It was sharp. It was deep. You know, the abyss down beneath and the spatial galacticness above. And the wiggly jiggly in between. Yeah, it was lovely. And of course, share your experiences if you'd like. This is a place. This video is not just a video, it's a place. It's a place to talk. There's a comment section. You can talk. I do read many of them, especially if they're not hate. I do read them. So, yeah. Peace out. Hope you guys have a great day and best wishes in your life. And go check out Patreon. It's going to be evolving very soon. So, stay tuned.